Let's just take a look down here at some of these devices. The first is keys. And of course, you're probably thinking that I'm going to tell you to take these keys and line them up in your knuckles like this and use them in this manner right here, which is widely touted. The only problem with this is that right there. When you punch somebody or were you to use it in that manner, you'd hurt yourself, but I don't think you'd probably hurt the guy that you're trying to. The keys have a tendency to go flat, to get pushed to the side, to trap your own fingers in them. It's kind of a goofy thing to do, just as it is to try to think that you're going to do this while someone's waiting for you. I mean, it's kind of silly. I've heard people go at length, to separate them like this because then it can go in the eyes, reminiscent of, again, Mo Larry the Cheese. It's just silly stuff. If you're going to use keys, all you really need to do is use one. And the way that you're going to use it is you're going to put it on your index finger like this with just maybe a half an inch or a quarter of an inch protruding. You're going to trap it with this thumb right here, and the way that you're going to use that device is just to slash at someone. In other words, you're standing here with the key just like you would go to put it in your car. You use it in this manner right here, and you can imagine that sharp key running down a face. It's going to cause a lot of lacerations. It's going to be a little bit painful. You can use it as a point pressure device to press in on someone, press in on a nerve center. If you're on the ground, let's say you get into a grappling situation, the only thing you've got in your hand is your keys. Well, I'd much rather take a hard surface and try to dig into a pressure point to get an initial reaction I could exploit for success than try to do it with my finger. Why not use a key? Okay, it makes a lot of sense. So if you find yourself in that scenario, obviously that's the better way to employ this as a weapon. Pen knives can be used with lethal effects. I mean, obviously, even a small knife like this can be used when done properly. Understand, of course, there is no lock on this, so if you don't use it properly, you're very likely to end up cutting yourself to shreds. Obviously, what we want to do here is the same thing we're doing with the key, which is basically to take the device, the knife just like this, wrap the finger right here, and then just press or hold pressure on the blade where you've only got about 1/8 of an inch showing. Now, I don't have to tell you that when you're standing here and you slice at someone like that, what that would do. Now, again, thinking about targeting areas, you can slice someone's face to the point where they would bleed to death, that you could kill somebody like this. You could rub it, take it down onto their neck and obviously get into the carotid artery or any of the neck type of vascular situations that are there and end up killing someone. So use an edged weapon, of course, you start looking at lethal force, but you could use that effectively, okay? Obviously, simple things like screwdrivers. Screwdrivers legal the world over. I mean, bottom line is you can carry this in your back pocket virtually anywhere and go armed. Is it less lethal? Well, I guess it could be used in a less lethal manner. You could use it as a coup baton type device. You could use it as a controlling type device. You could use it as an impact weapon in this manner here, and you can also obviously stab with it. Again, it's just having the mentality to use these things. A lot of the knife situations that exist out there require you to do something that people mostly find not palatable. In other words, stab somebody. I don't think a lot of people are prone to thinking about piercing somebody's body with an edged weapon. So although it's inexpensive, can be carried all the time and everything, people's minds don't normally run to this kind of thing. Even a card. Now, I'm not going to give you any kind of class on this where you can cut somebody in half like a well-known movie star does all the time. I'm just going to tell you that, again, if I'm using my hand, a hammer fist, and I smack something like this, I'm spread loading all that force over a fairly significant area in the meaty part of my hand. If I then concentrate that same force into that edge right here, obviously when I strike a bone or I strike a nerve or strike the face, the lacerations that are resultant are pretty significant. The only thing is you've got to hold it correctly, and all you're going to do is basically put it in the palm of your hand and then wrap it just like this. If I do that, then all we've got to do is have a nice striking surface like that, and you could use this real easy to kind of strike outward. Just strike at people here. Someone tries to grab you, boom, strike down on the bone of the arm that's grabbing you here, and pretty effective. Pretty effective tool. So it runs the gamut between that and mechanics cans of some of the aerosol lubricants that are on the market. An old trick there is a mechanics can of aerosol lubricant available all over the world, and all you do is basically take that small can and that red tube, put a drop of super glue on the tube, stick it inside the actual nozzle, let it harden, and then cut that tube off about 1/8 of an inch outside of the nozzle itself. And it'll shoot 10 to 12 feet in a very coarse spray. When you hit somebody in the face with that, it's like putting Wesson oil in their eyes. It doesn't necessarily hurt, but it does obstruct their vision. It makes them want to wipe their eyes, etc. And again, it's legal worldwide. The minute you start bumping it up and you start going into folding fighters and knives, this is a Casper clone, a Crawford Casper knife from CRKT. Excellent knife designed by Bob Casper, executed by Pat Crawford, and then picked up by CRKT. It is an excellent weapon. However, now you've got something lethal in your hand. And typically, juries and people who might review what you do with this consider this felonious. In other words, nice, quote-unquote, people don't use knives. We all know that that's not true, but the bottom line is that's the perception that there is in the media and possibly in the courts and a jury of your peers, as if they were really your peers, right? Bottom line is that this is a big step, okay? Something like this is not such a big step. Certainly aerosol is not a big step.